So, you know, I see a lot of young kids creating content, right? Just starting out their career and just saying, I'm going to create content. 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds calling themselves content creators and creating content, whether it be on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. And that's cool. But we have some counterintuitive advice for you. Don't create content, right? And this comes with a lot of disclaimers and nuances, so don't go in the comments just reading the title and say nonsense. Watch the entire video, right? So Tanay, why should young kids not create content?
It just wastes their time.
Okay,
There's
why?
there's no there's no there's no value of this. So people who say that you should create content, you should create content once you have something to sell. When you are beginning, when you are say, I'll take a very small example of coding. When you're learning how to code, you don't know how to code. Now going onto Google and saying 5 things you should do as a coder, 10 things you should do as a coder. Arey, you have not lived the life. You are not still a programmer. What if someone gets impressed by you and says, hey, do you want to work at my startup and code this together? You'll say, I don't know coding, I'm a content creator. What are you getting out of it? And if you're not top 1% content creator, you are not getting money anyway. So tell me, think 10 months ahead or 12 months ahead. What are you going to make out of it? So a lot of content creators on Instagram, right? They create coding content, they create memes and things. What do they earn? They earn 500 rupees by running an ad for you, and they run every day 1,000 rupees is good enough for them. So 30,000 is their monthly income. I am saying you can earn 3 lakh rupees per month, not having to worry about 500, 200, haggling, all of that, not having to worry about creating content every day and whether Instagram is showing this or not, or hashtag or reels. You can do all of that if you invest that time back in yourself and back in that skill for which you are creating that content. Then it might be useful.
Yeah, I like to say it as for most people, and this is like 99% of people, content creation is a secondary skill or a secondary thing that they do. Your primary skill is what you're creating content about, usually. There is an exception to this, which is pure content creators, and I'll come to pure content creators later. Most content creators on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, apart from the comedy ones, let's put them aside for a bit because I'll come back to that. If you look at it, say the entrepreneurs, I saw like a 15-year-old entrepreneur who said, I've run 11 businesses and now I'm creating a series about how to create those businesses. You actually click on his profile, you'll see none of those business, half those websites don't work. The other half, it's a scam, right? To put it in like the sweetest, shortest way, right? And I know there's some people who like very emotional, like, no, but how can a 15-year-old not be an entrepreneur? It's very difficult. It's almost insanely difficult and almost never done, right? So you have to see people who've actually done it, who are actually going to war, not somebody sitting down and saying, no, I've been to war and I'll give you 10 tips on how to go into war, right? So I really, even when I watch content, I trust the people who are actually out there practicing and also creating content. So content is a side hustle in this case. Even in my case, content is a side hustle. Primarily, I'm an entrepreneur. I raise capital for a living. I hire people for a living. I build products for a living. And content creation is something I do in my spare time. That's why I don't do it as consistently as, say, somebody else. The exception to this is pure content creators. People who have gotten big enough to be able to create massy content and to be able to monetize just that content themselves. These people are celebrities. I don't see them any differently from your vanilla actor. Whether Shah Rukh Khan today is doing a movie about romance or whether he's doing a movie about sports, he can fit into any role because he's a generic content creator from the old world.
True.
Right? Similar to that, you see a lot of content creators today who are going on Netflix, who are creating their own mini series. These are people who can fit into any role. And the comedians actually fit into this sweetly, right? There are some exceptions, the largest ones in fact, but the slightly smaller than the largest ones, these are people who can fit into any role, right? They're being called on TV to do one thing, on YouTube they're doing something else. So these people, they can actually do content creation for a living, but there's a problem with this. The problem with this is I will never encourage you to do this because of the failure rate.
Yep.
If you take the reason your parents pushed you to do engineering, right, or being a doctor, is because there's safety in those roles. If you do one of those roles, the chance of you getting a job and being stable at it is very high. People think the average actor looks like this, but the actual actor looks like this. The average actor is broke, doesn't have a single job, has just actor as his namesake or title, and makes less than 10,000 rupees a month, right? Through some sort of deal. And it's almost the same with content creators. The average content creator makes no money, has nothing to show for it, and has just wasted a colossal amount of time, right? And that's my biggest gripe. What do you have to say about this failure rate?
Yeah, I mean, see, top 1% makes money everywhere, but you have to think about how many people are there in top 1%. Let's say acting or sports or any such thing, or gaming as a viable business, right? There are very few people who are in the top 1%. Oppose that to programming, business, startup. There are a lot of people in the top 1%. So you have some safety net there that even if you're not in top 1%, top 2%, top 10%, you will make money. But in case of all these fields, especially in content creation, it's very hard. And acting, and because these are all attention things, right? These need attention. These are what vitamins. These are not important. A doctor, an engineer, a business, these are important things. So
they're painkillers.
They are painkillers. If you get into that field, if you get into those fields, you are solving a massive problem. Content creation is not a massive problem today. Everybody's doing it.
So I want to expand on what a vitamin versus a painkiller is. A vitamin is something that's a nice to have. You take a vitamin because you want to be a little bit stronger, whatever. But a painkiller, you're suffering from a problem. You need the solution now. When Bangalore government wants to build a flyover, they have a bloody problem. Because they've gone and told everyone they want to create a flyover, they need the engineers for it.
True.
They absolutely need it. Otherwise their reputation's on the line. But content creators, they're nice to have, right? And they're mostly fungible. You can take one content, every 5 years they kind of cycle up, right? You can switch one guy and put the other guy. There are exceptions, but most of the time content creators have a 5-6 year life cycle because they're not painkillers. Whereas a doctor only gets stronger with time. Once a doctor hits his 40s, he starts making great money. 50s, even greater money. 60s, even greater money. The reputation works for them because when you have a real pain point, you go to the best, right? Vitamin is like you're scrolling reels, you see one guy, you're like, oh, interesting, right? And basically the content creator is selling your attention to brands. That's most of the time how they monetize. But the point is, because it's just a vitamin, the failure rate is so high. Painkillers have a much lower failure rate, and the difference is like 100x difference, right? So you have to look at the magnitude of difference also. That's why being a doctor or an engineer or even a construction worker is a far more stable job than being a content creator. The average construction engineer makes more money than the average content creator. Think about that for a second.
Content creation has become more like lottery. It can work for you, it cannot work for you, but you should not bet your entire life on a lottery, right? Would you do that? That's how TikTok and all these things have become famous. So my only thing is, and this is what I tweeted, right, where we talked about this, is as a coder or as an engineer or you should create content, but your content should be code, right? You should show your proof of work, but that should be around what you are doing, what you are learning, and not 5 things this, 10 things that, or I will dance on something, things like that. Don't waste your time doing all of that, because the failure rate is just way too high. It's a lottery actually.
I would prefer people to it's okay to take lotteries, it's okay to take a gamble, right? But I would prefer people first go and get really good at your skill, become awesome at it, and then go do content on the side to build your personal brand. Because content is what will open doors for you once you're already good. But if you're not good and you have a really big brand, you will be seen as a snake oil salesman, which means somebody who's just, full of fluff. So it's better to work on your skills first and get really good at your skills, then move into content.
True. If you need food in your house, you wouldn't go to Vegas, right? That would be stupid. That means you have a gambling problem, by the way. So first have food in your house, and then you want to have fun. You want to, increase your riches, increase your chances. Go to Vegas, have fun. 90,000 rupees, by the way.
92,000.
92,000
Bangalore to
rupees.
Vegas.
Yes, go to Vegas and then try all of these things. So content creation is like going to Vegas. Do that, but don't do that for getting food in your home.
Yeah. The only exception to this is actual comedy content creators. Except two or three big ones who just make a ridiculous amount of money, the small ones get nowhere, right? They barely make money. And this is not me discouraging you. If you want to be a comedy content creator, if you want to do stand-up comedy, then by all means do so, but also understand and keep in mind the failure rate. There's a huge failure rate, right? And it is better to do that on the side while you do something else and then go into it. This is the same reason I don't recommend everyone go out and raise money. You run a business, it's fine to run a business. But when you run a business, it's okay to also do it bootstrapped. Try to actually make money instead of going out and raising money. Because the minute you raise money, you're playing the biggest lottery of your life. Right? I'm doing that right now. So I'm telling you, sitting in the seat, in the hot seat, that boss, it's a massive lottery. You don't know if you're going to come out clean or if you're going to come out destroyed. Right? So don't take those risks. Take it only if you made your mind up to do it.